Tashidele, hello everybody at Hayagriva Center, the members and the friends. I hope everyone is well, everyone is taking good care of yourself, taking good care of each other in the family and the community. So today, this is a short teaching or short sharing is on the wisdom, emptiness. It is follow-up sharing from the sixth perfection teaching, that which series of sharings that we have had before, and here will be three sections. The two sections of the teachings, I very much want to share the teaching that I have done on the series of Sunday ongoing teachings on the great collections of the Lojong teaching. So for these last two sessions, I was sharing on the emptiness, subject on emptiness. So therefore, I thought that those of you who have not attended the Lojong teaching, I thought it would be beneficial since it is the same subject to talk about for today's sharing, which is on emptiness. So for the first part here, I will not go detail. The later two sessions will be discuss the emptiness wisdom, taking into two platforms of day-to-day life. One is the practice of meditation, and another one is the practice of post-meditation. So I have shared quite detail on general understanding of emptiness and how to prepare to take emptiness wisdom into practice of meditation and practice in our day-to-day activities. And from these three sessions, the second session is very much discussed on the teaching in relation to meditation session on emptiness, and the last session is very much how to take emptiness wisdom in the interval session or the post meditation session, which is our day-to-day life, the rest of the activities time. So you can refer to that. And here, just to give introductory, understanding to that, is when we talk about emptiness, the emptiness, it is the ultimate nature of every existent. And when it comes to existence, it can fall into two categories: self and others. So self is referring to the self-identity, and others, start from one's aggregates and the rest of the existence. So the emptiness is very much of actualizing the truthful way of existing by negating the false way of existing, whether in relation to self-identity and rest of the phenomena and rest of the experiences. And it is important to establish, truthfully, the truth way of existence and negating the false way of existence. Is important because of it's very much in relation to the grasping, and the grasping is the emotion that bring a lot of adversities, a lot of problems, a lot of sufferings. The grasping can be interpreted in attachment, aversion, ignorance, ego, self-centeredness, and all the negative emotions. All are the expressions of grasping. So the grasping comes from the apprehending wrongly to the object either to do with the self or rest of the phenomena. Because of apprehending wrongly, apprehending wrongly here means apprehending apprehending to the object of apprehension in a false way. The actual fact is self and rest of the phenomena, including the subject, the mind, including the nature, the emptiness, all exists lacking of inherent existence, lacking of true existence, lacking of intrinsic existence, lacking of essential existence, lacking of dualistic existence. But our ordinary perception, our ordinary apprehending mind apprehends everything, whether it's tangible or whether it's thoughts. Everything apprehend, mistakenly, having the, consciously or subconsciously, having the influence of either inherently existent, either true existent, either intrinsic existent, either dualistic existent, either permanent existent, either independently existent, either autonomically existent, or either utterly existent or either unitarily existent. So because of that, it creates negative consequences, false consequences, delusions, and the rest of the false, including samsara. Whatever that we do not wish to experience, all byproduct of mistaken view, the false apprehension, which is the ignorant. You see. So therefore, the emptiness is simply, overcoming this false view. Emptiness is simply, negating this, false apprehensions, negating false views, false way of understanding, simply negating the way of understanding, inherently, the way of understanding intrinsically, dualistically, essentially, simply is that. So the emptiness is, emptiness wisdom is the knowledge, the awareness, the awakening, the realization that actualize by freeing, of apprehension from all this, mistaken view, freeing from the grasping from all this mistaken view, releasing the grasping from this mistaken view, unchaining the grasping from this mistaken view, mistaken apprehension, establishing genuine, truthful existence by negating, false way of establishing of existence. You see, it is very much, actualizing a freedom from all the faults and freedom from all the miseries, freedom from all the misconceptions. Actualizing emptiness wisdom is experience or actualizing either in the understanding or either in the contemplation, wisdom of contemplation, or either in the wisdom of meditation, is very much actualizing stages of liberation from delusion, liberation from ignorance, liberation from false, liberation from suffering, and all the contaminations, you see. So, so it's like that. So, one very important point when we talk about emptiness, whether emptiness of self or emptiness of anything, here we are not trying to, alienate or eliminate the conventional existence. In fact, the conventional existence was, in fact, the general existence has no faults. The faults in relation to any experiences is very much subjective. You see, from the object side, there's no faults because there's no essence of inherent of faults. There's no essence of true existent faults from the object side, you see. And the faults also do not exist in the nature of subject, the mind, because there's no existence of true existence or inherent or substantial existence of the labeling mind. Faults also do not exist in the nature, because in the nature too is empty of inherent, empty of true existence, empty of inherent existence, empty of essential existence, you see. So, so therefore, the purpose of emptiness, studying emptiness, contemplating on emptiness, meditating on emptiness, is very much to purify the delusion, to purify the ignorant. In short, purify the grasping, purify the chain of faults, purify the chain of grasping. So, whether the emptiness understanding and emptiness contemplation and meditation is benefiting you or not is, whether there is a decreasement of grasping or not, whether there is a development of, freedom from grasping or not, you see. And in fact, the result of understanding emptiness, contemplation and meditation on emptiness, that has to come into our way in the form of experience of, lessening the grasping, and developing the steadiness in peace and the peace and steadiness in the state of non-disturbances. So like that. So yeah. So the point is, just to re-emphasize, is whenever we talk about emptiness, we are not trying to avoid relative truth. We just simply, to avoid the false way of relating to the relative truth. If we relate to the relative truth wisely, with the wisdom of emptiness, then, like the Buddha, whatever out there, for Buddha experience pure land, purity, no faults. So that we too have capability to experience the same way if we equip the wisdom, correct wisdom. So like that. So as far as concerned with, to lead to that kind of wisdom require, correct understanding, correct contemplation, and sustainable meditation, which I explained, the next two sessions. So you can refer to that. So just to give like definition of emptiness, as stated, the Chandakirti's commentary on the 400th stanza. What exists objectively in terms of its own essence without being persisted through the power of our subjective mind is called self or intrinsic nature. The absence of this quality in the person is called the selflessness of a person, emptiness of person. It is absence in the phenomena such as eyes, ears, and so forth is called the selflessness of the object. So when we talk about emptiness of person, emptiness of the phenomena, we need to have the understanding of this definition. So when you relate with this definition to self and the rest of the rest of the different phenomena, then when we get to understand that, we understand the emptiness of this phenomena. When we contemplate, we gain the wisdom of confirmation. The ultimate, nature of the self and phenomena lies in such. And when we meditate on the wisdom of this understanding, either single-pointedly or in analytical, in the post-meditation sessions. Like this understanding influence our way of relating our perception to the experiences and rest of the activities of the day, and we will have the ability to see things and events as dream-like, as illusional-like, you see. So we are seeing, we are practicing to see things and events dream-like, illusional-like, but we are not trying to see things and events as a dream or as dream or as illusion. The conventionally the reality is out there, but ultimately, that reality, that conventional reality, do not exist the way how conventionally exist. So therefore, through the investigation of the emptiness definition or emptiness understanding, then you in fact see all the conventional experiences, the conventional reality are in fact is dream-like, illusional-like, it appears in the conceptual mind, but it does not exist at all in absolute essence. So you see, the Chandrakirti's, the commentary on the 400 stanzas, self is the essence of things that does not depend on others. It is an intrinsic nature. You see, so there's another important thing is that self does not depend on others' intrinsic nature. Self is dependent arising. Self exists dependently existent. Here, dependently existent means dependent on the labeling of the mind, bring about existence of this label called self. But self do not depend on others, meaning is that self do not depend on the instinctive nature of others or substantial nature in others. True existent nature in others. You see, so self is free from instinctive, true existing, inherent, substantial nature on its basis, like such as form and mind and rest of the aggregates. You see, yes, self exists dependent on its correct basis, but at the same time, self do not exist dependent on the intrinsic nature, intrinsic basis. So you see, so there's two different things. Self is interdependently existing, but also self do not exist, dependent on others' instinctive nature. I quote, "The non-existence of that is selflessness." So self is an essence of things that does not depend on others. It is an intrinsic nature. The non-existence of that is selflessness. Because of the division into object and person, it is understood as twofold, as the selflessness of object and the selflessness of person. So you see, so this two distinction comes from there. So yeah, so yes, so basically, when you study, when you contemplate, when you meditate, you do that first on the selflessness of person, emptiness of person, then lead to the meditation on the emptiness of the aggregates or the emptiness of the rest of the phenomena, like that. So yeah, so the detailed explanation, please refer to the rest of the two detailed explanations. So I will stop here. Thank you very much. Take care. You say, place your mind on the basis of all, the actual path. So, leads up to this stage after, after basic understanding on the selflessness of person, the selflessness of phenomena, then the selflessness of the object, then selflessness of the subject, the mind, which perceive the emptiness, which perceive the emptiness on the object, then also the understanding on the emptiness of the emptiness, So and that is very much understanding initially through study, at least the theory, then through thorough investigation and analysis on that understanding, and gaining the wisdom of investigation. So now is the after obtaining the wisdom of investigation, then taking that wisdom into into a meditation practice. And that meditation, as mentioned before, either analytical meditation or absorption meditation. So here, first it discusses about the so that meditation, divide into within our activities, within our day-to-day life, divide into two sessions, meditation session and post-meditation session. So during the meditation session, very much, to do the absorption meditation. And during the post-meditation session is very much to do the analytical meditation session, whatever activities and whatever activities that comes into our our perceptions, interpreting that into emptiness, and that through giving reasonings, what you have learned before on the emptiness, and as well as the experiential effect from the meditation session, the absorption meditation session on emptiness, that influence taking on to the post-meditation session to continue to strengthen the wisdom of emptiness. So now the first discuss on the absorption meditation, which is also a single-pointed meditation. So place your mind on the basis of all, the actual path. So that is, engaging in the actual path. So again, the actual path, actual path at the initial level, the path is not talking about the 5 paths. The path is talking about the step of journey that which you develop within your continuum, and eventually, when it becomes spontaneous, then that turn into an actual path, the path that which from the 5 paths. So until then, yes, you can label as a path, actual path, but that doesn't. That path is not included the path within the 5 paths. So what differentiate the path and actual path? The practice that which infused by spontaneous renunciation. The wisdom of emptiness infused by spontaneous renunciation, and that wisdom become an actual path, which when the practitioner first time actualize that spontaneous, when the practitioner first time actualize spontaneous renunciation, that infusing to the wisdom realizing on emptiness, and that wisdom is the first moment of the path of accumulation. If you are following the Mayanic path, if you are following the hearers and solitaries path, then that is the first moment of the entry to the path of nirvana, path towards nirvana. So like that. So until actualizing spontaneous renunciation, then like very much like in many of our position now, we don't have spontaneous renunciation. We may have initial motivational renunciation, but that is not sustainable one. That's not spontaneous one. So therefore, it's not the actual path. So how to differentiate that? Ngenjungi samba choma ma imbe simbe kemba, which is referring to the mind that which that adorn or the infused by the spontaneous renunciation. So that makes whether it's actual path or not. So you should identify the ordinary mind and place it in a state free of negation or affirmation. Since all 7 types of consciousness are conceptual mind, relinquish them. The essential point is to avoid being tainted by conceptualizations of subject-object duality. Subsequently, whenever conceptual arises, by observing awareness with awareness, let it rest free within reality itself. So, first, to identify the ordinary mind. So before we go into the actual meditation, the object of to actualize the object of meditation, then here now using the mind itself, the nature of mind itself, going to use as an object of meditation to place your mind, object of concentration or object of the single-pointed mind. Like those of you who have attended His Holiness teaching this morning, His Holiness was mentioning there's a special benefit of placing mind on the nature of the mind. The benefit is the more you place your mind single-pointedly on the simply to the nature of mind, the clarity and cognition, that help to increase the power of the mind, power, the power which is the wisdom, that itself help to increase the cognitive ability, of the mind, So therefore, the meditator choose the nature of mind itself as an object of meditation, object of single-pointed meditation. So when we talk about the nature of the mind, there's a conventional aspect of nature of the mind and ultimate aspect of the nature of mind. The conventional aspect of the nature of mind is simply clear and cognizing. The ultimate nature of the mind is the quality of the clear light mind, which is the lack of inherent existent the awareness, the awareness that which is free of entire conceptualizations, the free of entire graspings, it's absolute luminous, absolute voidness, and total free of chain of conceptualization. So therefore, in the sense of bliss, and absolute voidness of any clinging, any absolute empty of any conceptual apprehensions or any any attached to it's a complete voidness complete voidness of its own, being. So anyway, like clear light. The clarity, of any graspings, any faults, any conceptual faults. The absolute, vastness and absolute in awareness of, direct, perceiving in entire it is, absolute nature of the mind itself, and anything that comes in its way, which is the clear light mind. It's the most subtle awareness, like that. So first is that you should identify the ordinary mind. So before we place the state free from the the negation and the affirmation, first identify the ordinary mind. So ordinary mind, So what Lama Tsongkhapa said in Lamrim Chemo, the ordinary mind can be understood something like this: unskilled person whose eye of intelligence is obscured by the darkness of delusion conceive of an essence in things and then generate attachment and hostility with regard to them. So the ordinary mind is obscured by the darkness of the delusion. Due to that darkness of the delusion, conceive of an essence in things. An essence, either inherent, or inherent essence in the things, substantial essence in the things, dualistic essence in the things. So all the all the what you call the anything that apprehend other than simply merely labeled by mind is seeing essence in the things. As long as having, as long as perceiving or conceiving of an essence in the things, then that mind is regarded as an ordinary mind. Why is ordinary? And why it is a false mind? Because it generates attachment, hostility in regard to them. The reason of generating attachment to something, because you see, essential existence from it is either from the subject or either from the object side. You see. The like certain non-Buddhist philosophers assert an identity of I there has to be essence of, permanent and ultimate essence. Otherwise, that you won't able to designate a person. So that is like conceiving essence in the I. Similar goes to like any of the rest of the phenomena. Is like created by ultimate figure, like a god, and so the creator on the things is perceiving essence on that thing. Like I am created by a ultimate figure, then perceiving that, apprehending that, perceiving, apprehending essence in I, you see. So that is, based on the Pasangika's understanding and in emptiness understanding. So this is the false mind, false perception. So even to the Buddhist philosopher, even the higher philosopher like the Madhyamika philosopher, like minority school, the I or the person has to be actualized on the true existing mind. True existing mind. So there's no true existing essence in the subject, the perceiving mind. The perceiving mind won't have the capability to perceive a person. You see, and that is, conceiving, essence in the person, and that is a false mind. Even to the Saudantika Madhyamika, in order to establish I or person, there has to be, the substance, or there has to be something from the object side, like such as giving an example, the consciousness, the subtle consciousness, given as an example of a person, and conceiving that is conceiving essence, in order to establish I or person. You see, and that is a false perceiving, and due to that, you see, due to that, that perceiving mind is ordinary mind, and that has to be negate, that has to be purified, that has to be purified, you see. So so this is what it's saying. So when the illumination of knowledge of dependent arising clear away the darkness of delusion, and the eye of wisdom see the absence of essence in things, then there is no foundation for the other afflictions, and attachment and hostility do not develop. You see, so when the illumination of knowledge of dependent arising clears away, dependent arising, in order to establish I, you need to have a dependent essence, either from the subject side or either from the object side, and that itself, you see. So until you don't clear that away, you don't get away from the darkness. You don't clear away the darkness of delusion. You see, and that doesn't, that dependent arising here doesn't mean, the dependent arising that which interpret by the Pasangika view, by the Pasangika view. The Pasangika view of dependent arising means dependent on the, merely labeling, dependent on the mind labeling to actualize, actualizing the existing merely dependent in the name, merely, existing in the name, like dependent on the reasoning. What is the reason why I exist? I exist because I exist merely, the name that actualized by the perception. You see, the name that merely labeled by the mind, simply dependent on that, I able to exist. But that dependent arising is different from the dependent arising talking here that needed to be clear in order to, clear away from the darkness of delusion. Here dependent arising is, dependent on the dependent on the essential existence or the substantial existence or inherent existence, you see. So as long as you don't clear away the perceiving of dependent arising on inherent existence, like such as like the Sautrantika Madhyamika would actualize existence by depending on inherent existence, you see. So Sautrantika Madhyamika, without there is a inherent substance, as mentioned before, inherent substance on the object side, which is talking about the one of the aggregates, here talking about the consciousness. You see, this Sautrantika Madhyamika give an example of person is the consciousness. So without the basis, without the inherent basis, substantial inherent basis in the consciousness or on the consciousness, no way that Sautrantika Madhyamika able to establish a genuine existing person. That for Sautrantika Madhyamika, unable to establish a person. There's no basis to establish a person. You see, if there's no inherent substance on the basis of aggregates, which they call as a correct basis. On the correct basis, then you label as a person, you label as I, and that correct basis, Sautrantika Madhyamika, that correct basis is the inherent consciousness or the substantial existent consciousness, has to be there in order to be able to label as a person. You see, so similar goes to the Chittamatra. Without the true existent. Without the true existent, the consciousness, or the mind, the sixth mind, or the mind basis of all, or the mind basis of all, the consciousness mind basis of all. If there's no, inherent essence on the mind basis of all, the Chittamatra unable to establish a person there. Is unable to establish a person, you see. Not only to the person, but the rest of the phenomena, unable to establish existing, existing, you see. So has to depend on the true existent basis for the Chitta matter. Has to depend, the person has to dependently arise on the dependent base of inherent existence, you see. But as far as concerned with Pasangika Madhyamika, that dependent has to be clear away in order to clear away the darkness of delusion, because that itself is a delusion, that itself is ignorant, you see. So like that. So therefore, in short, we here defining what is ordinary mind, that has to be negated in order to rest into the natural state of mind. Is that the ordinary mind is very much need to clear away the negation of the emptiness of the mind, that which Pasangika Madhyamika establish. Not like that. So when this negation is cleared, then there's no foundation for the afflictions to arise. You see. So like what Nagarjuna says, seeing what is not real, you are bound. Seeing the real, you are free. Seeing I not inherent existent, but perceived as inherent existent, you are bound in ignorance. You are bound in delusion. You are bound by suffering. You see. So when you release the idea of dependent arising to the inherent, substantial existence, then you are free. You see, you are free. You're free from ignorance. You're free from delusion. You're free from suffering. You see, you're free from the bondage of any graspings. You see, you're free from grasping. So no grasping, no suffering. So this is one of the way to understand, the what means by the ordinary mind, So in the Lojong text here, since all 7 types of consciousness are conceptual mind, relinquish them. It is 7 types of consciousness, including direct perception, like direct eye perceptions, ear perceptions, etc. Direct perception, inferential perception, or inferential understandings, or inferential mind. Second one. Then third one is the subsequent cognition. The fourth one is inattentive, perceptions. Fifth one is presumptions. Then the sixth is indecisive minds. Then the number 7 is distorted awareness. Distorted awareness. So all these 7 minds that which we carry are called the ordinary mind, or the ordinary consciousness, which are called also the conceptual mind. And in order to free from the ordinary mind, all these 7 type of consciousness, has to be relinquished, in order to rest into the natural state of mind. You see. So therefore, since all 7 type of consciousness are conceptual mind, relinquish them. You see. So such as eye perception, you see, eye perception, ear perception, taste perception, feeling perception, etc. Basically, all the five senses is the one that obstacle, for us to rest into peace. I don't know whether this is the correct word to say, maybe rest into peace means die, I don't know. So rest our mind into peace. Maybe this is better. Yeah. So, you see, I think those of you who have attended His Holiness teaching, His Holiness most of the time, and in particularly today, he emphasized very strongly about this Gongye Shepa, which is the sensory perceptions, are the main disturbances where we cannot experience, peace of mind. These sensory perceptions are the main distraction, which trigger the arising of delusions, arising of delusions such as attachment, etc. You see, so when we talk about meditate, meditation is very much the activities of the sixth consciousness, and the meditation activity of sixth consciousness. One of the major meditative activities of the sixth consciousness is to get away from the sensory consciousness. To get away from the sensory consciousness. So that way, not only able to experience calm mind, pacified mind, undisturbed, distracted mind, but also, you experience the clarity of the mind. You experience the cognizing ability, cognizing the reality of existence, the truth of existence. You see, because of distracted by false sensory perceptions or the gross minds, you see, let's say, our mind is very much stirred by delusions. You see, therefore, we cannot experience the inner peace. You see, so yeah. So not only that, it obstructs of seeing the truth. So as mentioned by Nagarjuna, that when you don't see the truth, then you are bound. You see, you are bound in suffering. You are bound in delusion. You see, you are bound in the false. You see, so therefore no freedom. You see, so you see, so the blocking, avoiding of the sensual distraction is one of the major activities of the one of the major preparatory, or one of the major activities, one of the major actions of the meditative mind, in order to succeed in meditation, or in order to gain the maximum benefit of the meditation. You see, in particularly in relation to meditating on emptiness of the mind, or the reality of the mind, then the moment when we withdraw our attention from all the sensory perceptions, the gross perceptions, then naturally it strengthens the power of the main consciousness, and that main consciousness have the capability to see easily, effectively, both the conventional reality and the ultimate reality of the mind, of the situation, of the phenomena, and the rest. You see, So like that. Mm. You see, so whenever we see object from our eye consciousness, we see inherent object. What's it? We, no, we shouldn't say we see inherent object. We apprehend as an inherent object. There's no inherent object there, isn't it? But the perception, when you open your eye senses, when you perceive object, you apprehend, or you see as you seeing as inherent object, and which is a false. False both in the subject, false as well as false on the object, because for the subject, there's no essence at all, to actualize that inherent object. There's no power at all to actualize inherent object. As far as concerned from the object side, there's no essence, not even one substance from the object side to prove its inherent existence or inherent object. You see, so therefore, our perceptions are false perception, and knowing our perceptions are false perception, we start to utilize the power of the wisdom. When we utilize the power of the wisdom, then you see beyond. You see beyond what you are capable to see. Just the the gross, the things that you perceive to your eye. What you see is you're able to see the actual fact of the existent, and the actual fact of the existent is nothing more than simply merely labeled by mind. Nothing more than that. Nothing more in the subject, nothing more in the object, and nothing more in between. You see, so therefore, you see, only exists. It is function in conventional world, but in ultimate world, there's total non-existent. The only thing that exists is simply the name. So now that relate to all the experiences in relation to our perception that comes in our way. Seeing one beautiful object, and you attach to it. You see, in fact, there's nothing to attach to it, but then you attach to it. The fault of attaching is, the mind that which lead after seeing the object is grasping as it is the way how it perceived, the way how the earlier mind have perceived. Because of that, you grasp. You see. So because of that grasping, then you experience, the stirred mind of attachment. If you are unable to achieve the way you want, you experience the stirred mind of aversion to the object, and that's how that suffer. That's how what it means by it's bound. Because of not knowing the reality, we get bound. You see. So in all our situations like that, you see, our identity, about our health, about our life, about our good experiences, suffering experiences, samsaric experiences, nirvana experiences, unholy, holy, pure, impure, everything. As long as it's an interpretation of this, seven consciousness, then it is all conceptual, apprehension. And since it's a conceptual apprehension, there's a grasping there. You see, there's a grasping either in relation to eternal nature, or either in relation to unitary nature. You see, either you grasp on the basis of the essence within the subject, or either grasp on the basis of essence within the unitary nature. You see, and that way, that how we get how we bound by ignorance, how we suffer. So as long as we are not free from that, then we are not free from sufferings like that. So even the inferential understanding, you see, inferential understanding is very much like understanding things through giving reason. You see, like such as behind the mountain, there has to be fire because there's a smoke. Or as a person, that I exist because like me, like Tenzin Zopa exists. Tenzin Zopa exists on the basis of the correct basis, on the basis of the labeling on the correct basis, and the that correct basis, unless that one is talking about the correct basis that which interpret by Pasankika, otherwise the correct basis is very much infused by the idea of the dependent arising, that which interpreted by Sautantika, Chittamatra, Vaibhasika, sutra follower, including the possibility of even how the non-Buddhist philosophers will present. You see, like non-Buddhist philosophers, who when they establish a person, they have to establish a person on the basis of permanent basis. You see, there's like especially those who assert Atma. You see, the Atma is a permanent basis. Permanent phenomena, which is on then where possibility of existence of a person, and this Atma is, it is continuum, has to be, this Atma, it is nature, has to be exist, permanently from the past, present, future, so you see, so even when we establish our identity through inferential understanding, if we don't have a correct inferential understanding, the usual, the conceptual way of presenting the inferential understanding, then again, that perception falls into our ordinary mind or false mind, which has to be negated, you see. Then those of our memories, subsequent cognition, which is one of the seven consciousness which has to be relinquished. Many of those memories, is very much attached, very much established, interdependent on either inherent existence or substantial existence, either in continuum or either on the object or either on the subject. Then you establish, that particular remembrance or the memory, you see. And again, that is a false. That is false. It is dependent arising, but it's not the dependent arising that which not supposed to be interpreted. Which, if you interpret that way, it falls into a negation. So without negating that, then again, we cannot get free from the conceptual bondage. So similar. So rest of the different seven minds, when you examine one by one, especially those of you who are familiar with the philosophy treatise, then these seven minds are very much presented at the base on the Abhidhamma, or based on this in the Sutric school, or the Vaibhasika school, schools of philosophy. Then the definition, sometimes we learn the definition from there, and we conventionally it is correct. Each definition is definitely correct definition, and it bring into understanding correctly. But then when we start to explore into more extensive, in particular Pasangika view on the ultimate nature, emptiness, including the understanding of dependent arising, the conventional truth on the reality, then we need to think beyond just the presentation of the definition that what we see in the word. We have to go beyond the wording that presented in the definition. So yeah. So it says the reason why we need to relinquish all this conceptual mind is the essential point is to avoid being tainted by conceptualization of subject-object duality. Either subject and object duality. You see, again, this has a very, very, very profound understanding, an elaborate understanding. Subject-object duality. When straightforward, just directly, just to apprehend what it's talking about, is very much like to understand how the minority school, way of understanding what means by duality. But now, from the Pasangika point of view, the duality is, as long as anything that you establish exists interdependent on other than simply label by mind, then the duality of subject and object comes about. You see. So other than the Pasangika, rest of the school, there is a dualistic force. There is a dualistic force, including Sautrantika Madhyamika school. You see, in order to establish existence or even a person, you need the mind to label. You need the mind to label, but the mind alone is not good enough. You need to have substantial existence from the object side, from the basis. With these two come together, then only can able to establish a person or thing. You see, and that is dualistic. Subject and object dualistic. You see, so then to the Chittamatra, they pronounce the word called dualistic. The negating the dualistic from not depending on the mind is a false. You see, false existent. There's nothing exists from the object side without depending on the mind. If there's anything that you establish existing from the object side, then you establish dualistic for the Chittamatra. But now here, but from the Chittamatra, their point of view, they are like free from dualistic. But from the Pasangika, understanding what the Chittamatra really talking about, the Chitta-matra literally fall into dualistic still, because dualistic of the, in order to establish a person or things, you need the true existent the perception, true existent mind. You see the true existent mind through the imprint of the person able to bring into existence. On the basis of true existent mind, then the imprint of the computer able to bring into existence. You see. So again, from the Pasangika point of view, that itself falls into dualistic. You see. So therefore, the essential point is to avoid why all this conceptualization has to abandon or relinquish in order to rest into a reality, the actual ultimate reality, the actual essence, is to avoid the conceptualization of subject and object duality. That is the point. Subsequently, whenever conceptualization arises, by observing awareness with awareness, let it rest free within reality itself. So now, after finding the absolute of the mind, the truth of the mind, the actual nature of the mind, which carry the clear characteristic to the awareness of that mind, conventional characteristic, clarity and cognizing, just that, and lack of inherent existing nature of the of that consciousness. When your mind plays single-pointedly on that, while establishing single-pointed concentration on that, whenever there's a conceptualization arises, conceptual thoughts arises, any thought arises, most likely, other than that meditative mind, most likely will be conceptual mind, conceptual mind. Any of those conceptual mind arises, then you have to utilize the awareness, which is mindfulness. The second awareness is the introspection. So mindfulness, the introspection to overcome them. While you are placing single-pointedly on the nature of the mind, whenever conceptual mind arises, whenever the conceptual disturbance arises, use the method of mindfulness and method of introspection to clear them, to avoid them. You see. The way to do so, the mindfulness, stay steady focus, with vivid intensity, vivid clarity, and intense, single-pointedness. To the understanding of the nature of a mind, that which you just establish by negating the ordinary mind, the conceptual mind, carrying these two qualities, vivid clarity on that understanding, keeping in mindfulness, and steady concentration, steady single-pointedness. And the awareness of introspection is another aspect of the mind during the meditation. You stay vigilant when there's any sign of, arising of any conceptual mind, then alert the mindfulness to stay more firm into its concentration and avoid the conceptual disturbances by understanding the meaning of the characteristic of the negation. Seeing as a false, then avoid them, reject them, reject those false entering into your mind, your meditation. You see, if during the meditation those conceptual minds are already intruded and already affecting the quality of meditation, quality of the mindfulness, then the awareness of introspection help mindfulness to gain back, it is original place, the strength of vivid clarity and steady focus on the object. You see, so this is how that you utilize the mindfulness and then introspection. So in the text, by observing awareness with awareness, the first one is mindfulness, second one is introspection. With that, then let it rest free within reality itself. Simply stay, rest within the awareness of, clear and cognizing. And in ultimate reality, the awareness that you experience is complete, release, voidness of any apprehensions, any graspings. It's total sense of release from any bondage. Therefore, you experience sense of lightness, sense of blissfulness, sense of liberation. So staying in that is the absorption meditation on the nature of the mind or the emptiness of the mind. So now, if you want to use the emptiness of the person, so do the similar meditation like this. If you want to use rest of the aggregates, form, etc., then the technique is similar way. How you get into the meditations, the meditative state on the emptiness of the whatever the object that you choose, emptiness of person or emptiness of phenomena, and for individuals, those who have major issues with attachment, then using this emptiness meditation, you establish the voidness on the either to the subject, the attachment grasping, or either to the object that you so attached to. So actualize the total understanding of the wisdom of emptiness on that by negating the negation. Then you establish mindfulness onto it, and with the help of introspection, you sustain the meditation. So that way, you train your most powerful state of the mind, which is the more subtle mind. And when the subtle minds are trained, then it influences the gross mind. It able to influence the gross mind. so that individual can get free from the disturbances in relation to attachment. So if someone has an anger problem, your main problem in life is anger, then do the emptiness meditation, either on the subject, the grasping mind, the grasping mind. See the emptiness of the grasping mind by negating the negations, through investigation, as what we said so many times before, use all those analysis, so get into a total understanding of, voidness of all those negations on the angry mind, then pass that wisdom to the meditative concentration on meditative mind, the mindfulness, to hold on to it. Again, as mentioned before, two quality carry: vivid clarity and steady focus, steadiness, steady concentration, and introspection, helping the mind to overcome any sign of obstacles of other conceptual minds or any thoughts that comes in its way, which is unhelpful. You avoid, not like that. So that way, help oneself to purify or eventually overcome, total mind of anger. You see, so can imagine when we are able to free from total mind of anger, how peaceful person one can become, how much experience of peace that one can actualize in life. Isn't it? So, the meditating on the nature of the mind is as I mentioned before, is one of recommended, one of very beneficial, but then individually can whatever disturbances that comes in most in your way, use that as to actualize emptiness on that and meditate on that, you see. So now it talks about the how to how to say the process of meditation session. So since this constitute actual meditation of clear light, keep your session intense but of short duration. Within one session, you can have many sub-sessions. So always, especially for the beginner, good to do short sessions. Whatever amount of session you do, the quality of that meditation has to carry is the quality of the mindfulness and quality of the introspection. That will bring the qualities of your meditation. You see, if you can able to do just for 1 minute, just for do it, then don't force it, because at the beginning our mind is so habitual in conceptual hallucinations that it's like it will be like rainfall, disturbances comes in our way. You see, never mind, it will be natural. In particularly when we start to meditate, in fact, we get even more aware of those, conceptual or the disturbance, awareness that comes in our mind, and that is because you're trying to do meditation. That's why, like as I mentioned before, what is known as saying that, you start to see, the quality of the wisdom, increases. The quality of the cognizing, or quality of the mind increases. That's why you start to see more clearly of the faults, you see. So when you start to see the faults, so that you can able to negate it, you see. So do a short session. So within one session, do meditation, meaning that you dedicate for, let's say, 15 minutes. So 15 minutes that if any obstacle comes, that you're not going to kind of give up, say that it's not working for me, I give up. Not like that. So 15 minutes, but then that 15 minutes, you can have a 15 sessions, you see. So, or in the 15 minutes, or you can have a 10 sessions, the 5 minutes is very much interval in between, to strengthen your mindfulness, by seeing the falls of the disturbances, in order to prepare yourself, have a more concentration on the next session, see the faults of attachment, an example, see the faults of attachment, or see the faults of this conceptual mind, that the disturbances, you can remember the quotations, you can remember the teaching, you can remember your experiences, then you kind of fully prepare. Then you get into the meditation on the emptiness of the mind, or emptiness of the self for 1 minute, then then again you take break, then if the obstacle is a dullness, then you think of the inspirational ideas, like Buddha's qualities, the Guru's qualities, those who realize emptiness, how much amazing qualities that they possess, isn't it? So you uplift your mind in order to overcome from the dullness. You see, if the obstacle is excitement from other conceptual delusional minds, then you see faults of them. Then strengthen your concentration to the object. Then you get into meditation. So you can do like that. Then eventually, some texts, when you are a certain kind of prepared, then do 24 minutes, then do for half an hour, then eventually increase for 1 hour, then increase for 3 hours, then eventually you can even do actual shamatha meditation, to actualize shamatha meditation by getting into about 6 months of extensive retreat, simply training the single pointed focus on the chosen object. In this case, let's say for me, could be the emptiness of the mind, or the clear-light mind. Then you take about 6 months of period of full dedicated time to develop the concentration on that, and that way you develop the 9 stages of the shamatha mind, and you actualize the full quality of shamatha, and that shamatha mind is the full serviceable mind, and that serviceable mind of emptiness, take as a basis to actualize the vipassana, to actualize the special insight, which you're going to take into the as a main path along the 10 bhumis, to eradicate the defilements. So as for the length of the meditation session, it is said that the best session should have a stable base and should end in the joyful state. Always, you see, always, end not only to meditation, but any Dharma practices. We should end when we are, yeah, actually I should end. We should end, in a very, very uplifting state, so in order for us to encourage to do more practices later, so like that. So we should do more meditation, yes, and like meditations and retreats. My late guru used to say that whenever we go for retreat, we go for meditation, we go for practice, we should regard like we are going for our best holiday, the best holiday from samsara, best holiday from graspings, hallucinations and problems, whatever, So even from the motivation, if you have that kind of idea, then when you are in a meditation, you really, do proper meditation, you are naturally, free, being free from all these disturbances, isn't it? At the conclusion, after dissolving your visualization, cultivate great compassion for those without such realizations. So even though you're doing meditation on emptiness, but this is, especially teaching based on Mahayana, Lojong, then, whatever merit you should dedicate in bodhicitta. Thinking I shall place all beings in the indistorted truth of such ultimate mode of being, dedicate all virtues to benefit of others, then slowly undo your cross leg and perform a 7-limb rite inside the chamber of divinities. So if you have altar, if you have engaged in kind of structured session, then usually is always to start with practice of 7-limb, and you conclude with the practice of 7-limb, etc. So meaning start with the right motivation of bodhicitta, then the object of meditation is on emptiness, then end with the bodhicitta dedication, emptiness dedication, then all the rest of the other the limb of practices, whatever that you can able to include, especially emptiness meditation, you accumulate so much merit, so can use that as to benefit, as great as possible, like that. Okay. Yeah, I think time, I better stop here. Yeah, so this is specifically about meditation. So for coming week, for this week, try to do meditation on emptiness of the mind. According with this text, try to do emptiness of the mind. Okay, so try to negate all the conceptual ideas, conceptual minds, and simply try to understand. First, try to understand, the conventional definition of the mind, which is clear and cognizing. That's it. Then, ultimate, definition of the mind is, empty of the mind, empty of inherent of the mind. Is a complete voidness of any meaning complete voidness of any grasping, any apprehensions, and complete release of any bondage. Therefore, it is also in the nature of sense of bliss, so sense of union of bliss and voidness, which carry the conventional quality of cognizing, clear and cognizing. It's completely kind of like a space, vast, like sportless, directionless, infinite, yet there's existent. There's no obstruction at all. So simply try to rest your mind, meaning simply place your mindfulness in that voidness and bliss state of the mind by avoiding all the other thoughts. So try. Few seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can. Okay? And as I mentioned before, in order to get to there, first you have to thoroughly understand, what really is the emptiness of the mind. And not only understand, but you get total convinced through analysis, through investigation. You gain total convinced of that emptiness of the mind. You see, and that convinced understanding is called the wisdom of analysis. That wisdom now, which is the conclusion of the mind, is complete, luminous and voidness, and blissfulness, or that you carry as an object of meditation. So you see, so you try your best. Okay, so yeah, at least once, if you can, then do as many times as possible. Okay, and also, but those of you feel more comfortable to choose some other object like emptiness of self, whatever they recommended before, you can also use that. But at least for this week, try to do as many meditation on emptiness as possible. Okay. Then next session we will talk about the subsequent period of practice on emptiness. Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Okay, so we do short dedication. So whatever merit accumulated from this session, definitely, particularly, vast creation of merit due to discussion on emptiness. And also the motivation of bodhicitta. So this vast collective merit and individual merit be the complete cause of numberless sentient beings, purification of any form of suffering. Also may this merit be a complete cause to purify this pandemic crisis that is going around in the world. May this merit be the complete cause for all sentient beings to actualize from temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause for all the good people, all the holy gurus like Dalai Lama, Gyabja Lama Supa Rinpoche, and all your spiritual gurus, spiritual friends, and all your family members, and and yourself to have a long, healthy, prosperous, meaningful, virtuous life, long life, and fulfill all your wishes accordingly. May this collective merit be a complete cause for all the world leaders, the leader of society, leader of family, including yourself, who lead your life, actualize loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, so that yourself and rest of the others can who's under their care, able to have a meaningful, peace, happy, harmonious life. And also dedicate those, may this collective merit be a complete cause for those who pass away, in particular within the last 49 days, to purify the suffering of death, suffering of independent state, suffering of rebirth, and actualize higher positive rebirths where they made perfect mind in Guru, until they actualize state of full enlightenment. And also dedicate this collective merit be complete cause for those who are sick, who have problems, whoever requested prayers dedication to me, to our gurus, to yourself, and we dedicate this all collective merit for them to actualize all their wishes accordingly. May this collective merit be a complete cause for each and every one of us, actualize direct realization on emptiness as swiftly as possible, and able to eradicate entire defilements and actualize state of full enlightenment for the benefit of numberless sentient beings. May our days be auspicious, may our nights be auspicious, may every single moment be auspicious. Thank you very much. Take care. Okay. Yeah, so we will continue from the same text. So those of you who are following using the same the text, then it is on page 92. So last session we discussed about the taking emptiness wisdom, an object of the meditation for the concentrational meditation, to develop single-pointed meditation using the emptiness wisdom. And there, for last few sessions, we have discussed the importance of having clear understanding and clear contemplation, or analytical, or say clear understanding and clear analytical learning on the definition or the understanding of emptiness on the object, emptiness on the subject, the mind, and the emptiness of the emptiness. And that is important in order for us to in order for us to get to absolute understanding of emptiness, absolute understanding of the selflessness of person, the I, and selflessness of phenomena, the aggregates, etc. Like what Hayagriva have stated in for the stanza, that assuming something that is not emptiness as emptiness will not actualize the nirvana or the liberation. It's because the wrong view will not lead to the liberation. So like that. So therefore, if we don't get the absolute understanding of emptiness, then even we label as emptiness, then we don't realize the actual wisdom, that which will serve as a path to eradicate the delusions and defilements. The nirvana or the liberation is only possible, through the negation of the delusion and defilement. So that's what Hayagriva was saying. So you see, so here the absolute understanding of emptiness is referring to understanding of emptiness according with the Prasangika view. The wisdom that which actualizing the wisdom of emptiness, either in relation to self or the phenomena, gaining through the tarat and complete eradication of every aspect of negations. If we realize the emptiness, or I shouldn't say realize emptiness, if we assume, understood, or realize emptiness, assuming, accordance with the earlier philosophical school, even Sautrantika Prasangika school, then it's not, not realizing the right view, and not realizing the absolute view, even though you assume that is the final view because of the philosophy school asserted. So so you see, so just asserting as a final view, not necessarily is a final view. You see, as long as there is a remain of stain of essential existence, either on the object or either on the subject or either on the wisdom itself, then the negation is not negated completely. One unable to negate the entirety of the negation. You see, so that is the reason why need to understand and why need to contemplate before actually taking the wisdom as an object of meditation onto the path. Even though one may realize, one may understood, one may establish the analytical wisdom of no essential or intrinsic, or inherent existent on the object, but still there may remain a danger of the essence or the intrinsic or essential or inherent on the subject. Even one understood, gained the wisdom of analysis, where there is no essence, essential, intrinsic and inherent existence, lacking of inherent existence on the subject, but there still lies the danger of having the stain of either inherent or either intrinsic or either essential or either essence on the object side. You see, even the individual understood, gained the wisdom of analysis, the lack of essence, intrinsic, inherent, or dualistic, inherent existence on this object and the subject, but then there's still a danger remains, essence or intrinsic, inherent on the wisdom itself. You see, so due to this reason, what I'm saying here, due to this reason, it point out the importance of gradual, necessity for individual to study and analyze on these three points, in order for us to have the complete free of stain, completely free of any stain of negation that lies on any of these three on these three bases. You see, in order to actualize the genuine ultimate wisdom, the genuine emptiness. You see, so when it comes to a person or I or the self, so first, you see, the I or the self has to be understood, has to be proven through analysis. It does not exist in essence, or even in substantially, or essentially, and inherently, or truly or inherently on the objects, or on the objects, meaning on the basis, such as five aggregates. Five aggregates. The physical is an example of physical aggregates. Whether I is definitely free from existing in the essence of the physical body. I, it is free, existing in the essence of the, feeling aggregates. I, is free from, free in existing in essence in the, mental aggregates. I is completely free, inherent existing from the mental aggregates. You see, if I exist, in order to establish I to be exist, if needed to establish on the basis of inherent existence or substantial existence, like how the Saudantika Madhyamika would present. If there's no substantial existence from the basis, then the mind that which is going to label as I won't able to establish labeling as me or I. The name cannot be labeled if there's nothing exists from the object side. Yes, like how the Saudantika Madhyamika would present, even though the I, in order to label I from the object side, there's none true existent. But in order to establish I, or existing of me, then you need to have at least substantial existence from any of the basis. So, as far as concerned with the Saudantika Madhyamika school, the mind basis of all is the the substantial existence from the basis. On that, then the labeling mind label as a me, then I exist. You see, so that makes, in order to exist I have to be existing on the basis of substantial existence. And that is the case, then you are unable to negate the complete negations. Because you're still asserting inherent, because you're still asserting, substantial existence, So therefore, even you regard the empty of true existence on the self, but because of apprehending or asserting, establishing essential existence from the basis, you are establishing inherent existence. That means you are unable to negate the complete negation. That means that selflessness is just simply asserting as a selflessness or the emptiness of self, but not real emptiness. You see, so if you meditate on that, you assert that as emptiness, and if you meditate on that, you're meditating on the wrong view, and that will not lead to liberation. So that's what it means. So you see, so similar way, now when you meditate on the when you study and when you analyze the emptiness of the form, similarly, the form, you have to establish the form empty of all this mentioned, the negation from the object side, like such as this form. In order to establish this form, the basis are the atoms, the cell, etc. From those bases, then you need to actualize total free of any stain of essence, true existence, inherent existence, substantial existence, etc. like that. You see. So now, so that alone is not good enough in order to reach to the absolute understanding of absolute, getting to the ultimate understanding of emptiness. You may be free from the object side, holding on to any of the negation, but you maybe still have the stain from the subject side, the labeling mind. And here we can understand from the Chittamadra that the Chittamadran, when they establish emptiness of person, emptiness of self, since the Chittamadran do not assert the true existing object, since do not assert true existing person out there on the basis of aggregates, but in order to establish, even though the person is labeled by mind, but that labeling mind is it has to be in essence of true existent. You see, the labeling mind in the essence of true existent. If the mind itself is not in the nature of true existent, mind have no power to establish something out there as saying that this is person. You see, even though everything is byproduct of labeling of the mind, but labeling mind is true existent. I was saying, true existent. You see, so therefore, so you see, in order to reach to the absolute understanding of the emptiness of self, then the self has to be free even from the stain of the essence from the labeling mind, free from the stain of substantial existence, true existence, inherent existence of the labeling mind. You see, now even you have freed through understanding, through analysis, that you are freed from all the stain of both on the object and the subject, but then there's still there's a danger may actualize into that individual because of if there's nothing essence in somewhere, then the person fear of falling into nihilism, like nothingness. If there's nothing in essence, either from object, either from the subject, or either from it is nature, then it just disappears. It can't establish existence. So like when we are establishing emptiness, we are in fact establishing genuine existence, isn't it? Genuine existence. When you're establishing emptiness of person, you are bringing the actual existing person. You are not negating existence of person. You are not we are not putting any effort to bring disappearance of a person. You in fact establishing the correct way of the existing person. You see, so therefore that individual may falls into a falls of maybe in emptiness there may be some essence. Yes, subject has no essence. On object there's no essence. In subject there's no essence. So since I'm going to establish me, I, person, then in the wisdom or in the emptiness itself, in the emptiness, what I'm going to establish, the selflessness of person, in itself may be in the essence of essential existence, essence of substantial existence, essence of true existence, essence of inherent existence. You see, so your concept may establish self on the basis of establishing, essence, in the emptiness nature. So if that happens, again, unable to reach to the final understanding of emptiness. In that particular, in relation to this understanding, in that particular individual, you reach to a point of understanding of emptiness on the basis of assertion, on the basis of certain philosophy, but then not reach to the actual understanding of what really is the voidness. You see, so that individual have to establish the what you call the emptiness of the person on the basis of absolute voidness of any essence in all area, including in its nature. So that is the reason what I'm saying, that we have to meditate. We have to squeeze our head. Try to get to the thorough understanding. You see, in the word there's not much. You see, even the negation, you present the every characteristic or aspect of the negation that was presented from all the four philosophical school. Still there's 5-6 of them only. There's not many. So as we have discussed before, we try to learn what really is the negation. So that's the important. You see, so that's the first most important. To understand the definition and the characteristic of the negation. Then investigating, whether that negation, is existent on these three bases. And emptiness is nothing other or nothing more than simply gaining the knowing, from the negation of by negating the negations. You see, in Tibetan it's a Mayingak. So I don't know exactly how to say in English, but the knowing comes. You're able to establish the emptiness just simply through negating the negation. Not by establishing something, miraculous things or something obvious things. The emptiness is just simply, getting to the awareness of, ending to the negation from the concept or from the apprehension, from the mind, from the understanding, you see. So when we talk about realizing emptiness of the person, it's simply meaning that, you're reaching to a point that there's no, in your awareness, in your understanding, there's absolute free of any form of negations, the stain of the negation. When you reach to that point, in understanding, then you understood the emptiness of the person. In that point, you conclude the analysis, then you gain the wisdom of analysis. In that point, that you actualize total, stable, spontaneous, untie or cut of any grasping, any form of grasping, from gross to the subtlest form of grasping, to the negation in relation to the person, then you gain the wisdom of meditation. You see, or in another word, you actualize the emptiness, the wisdom, the path. You see, so therefore, the study or the meditation on emptiness is we are not trying to alienate or eliminate existence. We are not trying to eliminate feeling. We are not trying to eliminate emotion. We are not trying to eliminate everything that what comes in our all the objects of the five senses. We are not trying to eliminate that. We're, the study of emptiness, meditation on emptiness is not trying to eliminate the world, not try to eliminate yourself, not try to eliminate others, not try to eliminate the aggregates, You see, the purpose of studying emptiness, purpose of meditating on emptiness is simply for unchaining the grasping, towards all the existence. Simply cutting the grasping to all existence, all experiences, all the feelings, all knowings, simply releasing from the bondage of grasping from all the existence, releasing from the bondage of grasping, you see. So that is the point. You see. When you open your eye, you see the colors. You're not trying to, in emptiness, you're not trying to eliminate the colors. You can still enjoy the colors. And some more you can enjoy in a maximum level, most, when we realize the emptiness, in relation to that colors, you see. Because if our eye still, influenced by the bondage of grasping, to the colors, when the eye perception perceive the colors, you cannot enjoy the maximum, the qualities of the color, because there is the coverage of not knowing the absolute of the color. You may see the red, white, black, yellow color, but in the eyes of the bondage of the ignorant, in the eyes of the, not having the wisdom of emptiness, in relation to the color, when you see the color, you don't see absolute of the color. You don't see the most quality of the color. You don't see the best quality of the color. The best quality, most quality, absolute quality of the color is emptiness of the color. You see, lack of the essenceless in the color is the most powerful color of the most powerful qualities of the color. The emptiness of the substance, from the color side. And more than that, the emptiness of the, the dualistic appearance, emptiness of the, inherent emptiness of the inherent existence of the color is the yummiest color. Is the moment the eye, the wisdom eye of emptiness looking onto the red color, you experience bliss. You experience absolute vastness, not just one red dot. You see the entirety of the magnificence of the color. You see. So similar way, when we know the emptiness, when we have the wisdom of emptiness of the self, you see, you very much, able to know the actual divinity of, yourself. You're able to know, you're able to really know well about yourself. Until we know the emptiness of self, we don't know ourselves. You see, we're completely knowing ourselves mistakenly. We apprehend completely opposite way, wrong way. So due to that, then all the delusions comes in our way. You see, all the delusions comes in our way. Like what the Nagarjuna have said, what Ayadeva have said, what Chandrakirti have said. There's so many presentations that the ignorant is the one that bring all the links of the samsara. You see. So because of not knowing the real I, the emptiness I, the I which is empty of inherent, our perception about ourselves is blinded one, hallucinated one. You see, so that that blindness, that hallucination bring about delusion. That delusion, manifests into a, delusion of aversion, delusion of attachment, delusion of all the imbalanced emotions. You see, and we know through this imbalanced emotion, we suffer so much. We suffer so much. You see, we suffer because of attachment in relation to I. We suffer aversion in relation to I. We suffer, like roller coaster like emotion in relation to I, in relation to me. And not only that, because of not knowing the emptiness of the environment of the I. The rest of the existence of the I, or in another word, not knowing the emptiness of the thing that which so-called as a mind. You see, my body, my family, my enemy, my stranger, my this, my that, because of not knowing the emptiness of the environment of the I, we suffer, immensely, in relation to our environments, you see. So therefore, you see, so, yeah. So therefore, you see, the emptiness is the most powerful, antidote to suffering, most essential practice in the path. Therefore, it is the ultimate path, you see, to the liberation, you see. So therefore, we have to do meditation. Without meditation, even we have, understanding and analytical proven wisdom to us, during that period of awareness of having that, that understanding, then we are free from suffering. But then when loses that, then again, our samsaric hallucination comes in our way, you see. So the only way to totally be free from the continuous, the torturing in our life by the emotions, our hallucinations, our delusions, is for us to gain sustainable, spontaneous, sustainable and spontaneous realization in the emptiness. And that only can able to achieve through meditation. Is it through meditation, through absorption meditation, you see. So, so therefore, those of you, like last week, we had a homework, to do, Tarat meditation on emptiness. Emptiness of the mind, or emptiness of person, emptiness of phenomena, whatever object that you use. Whether you have done the meditation well or not, you can check by seeing whether there's any decreasement in grasping or not. The sign of how well that we have meditated on emptiness is how effective in decreasing or eliminating grasping. So if individually, like you and me, those who try to meditate, did my meditation went well? You can check. Is there any decreasement in my grasping? Increasement in peace, increasement in the stability or peace in your heart. And we can check that in coming moments, coming days, hours. We can find out whether our grasping lessen the grasping in relation to the weather, in relation to whatever is going on in the world, whatever is going on with your body, whatever is going on with your mind, whatever is going on with your relationship, your financial status, your reputations, or day-to-day conversations with your partner, with your children, in relation to the food that you taste, in relation to the clothes that you wear. If there is increasement, or at least stabilize some sense of, genuine, steady acceptance of the conventional reality. Due to that acceptance, there's no kind of haunting to your mind, of agitations in relation to the situation that comes in your way, mentally or physically. In our day-to-day life, either through message, either through while watching TV, or while talking to somebody, just little tone of the conversation or the news will somehow affects you. Good or bad way, affects you. Isn't it? Very easy to affect you, isn't it? So, the meditator on emptiness now, there is a wise interpretation in any kind of news, any kind of conversation comes in your way. There's a steadiness in stillness, settledness, acceptance. There's no kind of overreaction. There's no kind of like a spontaneous reaction emotionally. Even there's joy, if you hear joyful news, even you respond to the joyful news, that's kind of like the joy is already pre-existent, and just simply kind of like reveling, but not something like suddenly pop up out there and get excited, explode, not something like that. Very steady, If you hear some bad news, you see, it's not something like, make you smash, right very then. Not like that, it interpret with very steadiness, with full of wisdom of impermanent, wisdom of, and rest of the emptiness wisdom, you see, then doesn't intrude into the settledness state of yourself. It's very much like able to purify it, purify in between before reaching to your emotion. You already get purified with the wisdom. So therefore, again, you're able to sustain your steadiness in the peace and the settledness. You see? So yeah, like that. So we are, studying emptiness, contemplating emptiness, meditating on emptiness. We need to watch out whether there's any progress or not by examining our own mind, whether there's a decreasement of grasping or not, and whether there's an increasement of stillness and peace or not. Because as far as concerned, as I mentioned many times, the word, the amount of description is very little. So therefore, not by reading so many scriptures will make ourselves to gain the realization of emptiness. How many pages we read, how many different explanations we read, there are a few words that we just have to circle within there. But yet this topic is the most profound topic, most complicated topic, most beneficial topic, most essential topic. You see? So now, to get to the point is, go through a basic, the prerequisites explained before, the understanding and the contemplation, the analytical contemplation. Then is to meditate. You see, only through meditation, we will reach to what really means by emptiness. What is the actual taste of emptiness? You see. So you see. So whenever we read Wisdom Sutra, Masam Jeme Shera Paroji, Majeme Morangi Mo, Sosora Chichema, Tusum Chasano. So it's very much it's like unexpressible, through words when it comes to the wisdom, emptiness, you see. So it is very much like I usually give an example of asking the taste of sweet chocolate, candy, asking the taste of candy. You can explain very much what the taste of candy. You can say it is not bitter, it is not sour. Of course, it will say it is sweet, but it's the question is what is the taste of sweetness? And they say it is sweet. It is not bitter, it is not sour, it is not this, it is not that. You see, you can get some descriptions, but the actual taste of the sweetness is only when you put candy on your tongue. Then you say, oh, I see. But if someone asks you to express that sweetness, again, you have a limited in the word. You see. So therefore, similar way, emptiness, emptiness very much can explain, even in the understanding and even in the realization, is very much simply the wisdom that which you gain through negating the negations alone. That's it. It's like the sweetness of the candy is very much, you experience because of, gaining the wisdom of negating the bitterness, the sourness of those tastes in the candy. Then you establish this particular taste means it's a candy's taste. It's a sweet taste, So similar way, so the sweetness of the emptiness of the person or emptiness of anything, you have to what do you call, put onto your tongue plate. Similar way, you have to meditate. You see, so you got some basic understanding, and now you have to meditate. You see, you have to bring to absorption meditation. Not just analytical meditation, absorption meditation. You see, so analytical meditation, absorption meditation have to combine together. Combine together doesn't mean that you meditate in one session, same thing. You have to do analytical meditation sometime, you have to do absorption meditation sometime. If you miss one, we cannot get to the point. You see, so like that, okay? So the homework continues, continues even for as long as we gain the absolute realization of emptiness. The homework continues. Okay. So today we talk about the subsequent practice on emptiness. The subsequent period practice. How to train in the subsequent practice is presented by the following. In the interval, be conjure of illusions. So very much, taking the view of illusion when our consciousness or when our senses come in contact with day-to-day, experiences or activities. The subsequent period must be cultivated without losing the flavor of your meditative equipoise on emptiness. You see, the subsequent period become very effective, very beneficial, if we have meditated well, if we have done good absorption meditation. Otherwise, our strong habituation in ignorant, strong habituation in hallucinations and wrong view will always, dominate our wisdom mind in our day-to-day. And this is, what's going on to many of us, like for me, for sure. How much we study Dharma, whole life studying Dharma, and never really meditated well. Then when bad news comes, nothing helps. Bad news really torture you. You see, something doesn't go the way you want, affects your emotion. And that is a very clear sign of failure in meditation. Never meditated. You understand, you can interpret, you can explain, but when the actual reality, the conventional reality comes in your way, you just burst right there. You see, and that is because of didn't meditate it well. There's no flavor, the habitual flavor in your system from meditation. So you see, so it's a daily, that we have to find time to meditate. Those who are really serious about it, serious about Dharma practice, really want to experience all the yummy benefits that we always talk about Dharma and especially emptiness, then the meditate is must. You see, every day to day. You see, so even someone who still don't really get it, what exactly the emptiness is, at least you hear the benefit of the emptiness, and you start with, at least with some silent meditation. At least with silent meditation. Earlier in the text, I recommended the meditation on the nature of the mind. Remember? In fact, last week, the one of the homework is to do meditation on the nature of the mind. If we are able to understand the ultimate nature of the mind, the wisdom that you gain on emptiness of the mind through learning and through analytical observation, then you meditate on the ultimate nature of the mind. If you are not up to there, at least meditate on the conventional nature of the mind, which is clear and cognizing, nothing else. Like absolute clear and cognizing, like the space. Luminous, clear, cognizing. And try to do an absorption meditation. Single-body meditation here is simply rejecting, or simply focusing on one object with what's it? Simply focusing with the single pointedness, on the on the design qualities, on the design object of meditation, which is clear and cognizing, or clear and luminous and cognizing. So simply just focusing on that. That means, for that meditation, your avoidance from any other thinkings, any other thoughts, any other ideas, any other concerns, just simply luminous and cognizing. So in another word, it's just simply in one awareness, that awareness of that, like knowing, but not exaggerating, not interpreting what knowing, how knowing. Simply there is a sense of knowing, because there's a mind. Knowing the mind itself is a knowing. You see, knowing of you're simply being aware of knowing itself is focusing on the mind. You see, just simply remaining within that paramita. So that focusing on the conventional nature of the mind. Okay. In another word, is even some individual still have a difficulty to meditate on the conventional aspect of the mind, conventional nature of the mind, then simply focus on the silentness, the awareness in the silentness, awareness of silentness. Silentness here is silent of silent from any activities of the five senses, silent from any activities of any thoughts. It is hard for individuals when the first time you start to do that, because of our strong habituation of busy mind. You see, so at least in the best is in the morning, before we start our activity, just take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, just do silence, focus on the silentness, or in another word, meditate on the in the silent. If you do early morning, then environmentally, there's not many noise, and all the activities are not started yet. So still there's some kind of quietness there. So you see, so it's easy to stay focused on the quietness from all the working mind. You see, and that silentness, that quietness, has a very powerful, capability that will assist ourselves to, improve the quality of our mind. And that quality of our mind is very much will eventually lead to the knowing of the conventional reality of the mind, then eventually will lead to the ultimate reality of the mind, or in other words, the emptiness of the mind. You see, so we at least have to start from there. So otherwise, those of you that who's already quite good, then you try to purify or bring into total empty of all the thoughts, all the basis of the thoughts, in emptiness, purify them, because there's a lot of awareness there, isn't it? That awareness is very much conceptual awareness, hallucination awareness. You see, so in order to reach to absolute voidness, so you need to seize them. So you purify them. You try to bring one by one into total empty, then in that voidness, try to remain in meditation. So for beginner like me, because of eons and eons of past lifetimes, almost entire existence, always influenced by hallucination of grasping, inherent grasping to existence, etc. There's a very strong, stubborn, rigid, like a dualistic appearance, inherent appearance, true existence, apprehensions like that. So therefore, as a beginner like me, in order to overcome that, then train your mind by starting to meditate on absolute voidness. Like as mentioned before, try to purify all the awareness and existence, the ordinary awareness existence into empty, and try to remain in that total emptiness, total empty state, voidness state. And that helps us to slowly, untie the strong, the knot of the grasping. And later, then, the meditation will progress to the union of, empty and existent, or, empty and or bliss, like that. So therefore, even though perceptions of the self and others are external environment and the being within it and so on arise, it is your delusion that it is your delusion that cause non-existing thing to appear as existing. In ultimate reality, nothing exists. We already established nothing exists on the object, nothing exists on the subject, nothing exists even in the emptiness nature, isn't it? So whatever the conventional experiences that we experience, whatever you see, whatever you taste, whatever feeling and understanding that we have, including samsara and nirvana, everything is function in the view of delusion. All these separations from pure and non-pure, samsara and nirvana, good and bad, everything is illustration of delusion, and that bring about non-existent things to appear as existent. In ultimate nature, there's not even one single substance, one single essence that you can prove that's existent on the subject, on the object, or even in the it is nature. It is absolute nature. Like what the Ayadeva's 400 stanza says, all of this is without its own power. Therefore, there's no self. No self in the person, no self in the form, no self in any phenomena. Because of without its own essence. Because of that. It is that which the Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanza says, it is that which exists essentially, intrinsically, autonomously, and without dependent on another. So these are the synonymous. Those words are synonymous. So here, without depending on another does not mean not depending on cause and condition. Instead, others refer to the subject or conventional consciousness, and something is said not to depend on another due to not being possessed through the force of that conventional consciousness. You see. So we, in order to reach to our absolute emptiness, we even have to come to a point of releasing the thought or the idea or the grasping of, dependent on something. And that dependent on something is not talking about, the actual meaning of dependent arising, what the Pasangika would interpret. The dependent here is dependent on, something has to be on the basis or on either on the object, either on the subject, or either on it is nature in order to establish existence. We have to come to a point that until we relinquish that dependency. Therefore, autonomously refer to the nature of an object that has its own unique ontological status or manner of being. The autonomously, refer to a nature of an object that has its own unique ontological status or manner of being. It is not talking about, the cause and effect, the dependent on cause and effect of the cause. It is unique autonomic, ontological status is very much like a substantial existence. Like a substantial existence, how Saudhantika would establish. Like a true existence on the subject, how Chittamatra would establish. So, so even the Vaivasika and the Saudhantika, when they present the selflessness of the person has to be, free of, being autonomy. Free of being autonomy. That means, has to be dependent on something, means dependent on the cause. Dependent on the cause. But here, for Pasangika Madhyamika view, the autonomously for Pasangika's understanding in relation to Vaivasika and Saudhantika is the Pasangika Madhyamika rejecting or asserting the autonomously refuting the Vaivasika and Vaivasika and Saudhantika's understanding of emptiness, understanding of the selflessness is very much negating the true existence of the dependent, either the subject or the object, which is in here is the cause. When the Vaivasika and Saudhantika present the selflessness of the person, the person has to be free of autonomical existence. that means the self has to be existing interdependent on the cause and condition. Without, if the self exists, or if the product exists without dependent on cause and condition, then that means it's a false. The self has to exist interdependent on cause and condition. But that interdependent cause and condition is very much in the nature of true existence. So therefore, for Pasangika here, even that to be refuted, you see. So that be refuted in the sense of differentiating autonomously existing in relation to what Pasangika is refuting, and autonomously existing what Vaibhasika and Saudantika is refuting, you see. So anyway, this is a bit messy. So therefore, autonomously refer to the nature of an object that has its own unique ontological stature or manner of being. For Pasangika, you see, it's not, the things has to be, exist without dependent on the, without dependent on, essential existence or true existence, and establishing that is autonomously existent, free from dependent on the dependent object or subject that which got the stain of the negation that Pasangika would negate. It is just this that is called essence or the intrinsic nature. Okay, if it is dependent, you are dependent on essence or the intrinsic nature, and due to that falls into a negation. But it doesn't mean that this lacking of dependent here doesn't mean is negating the dependent arising. You see, so dependent arising is asserted. Everything is dependent arising. Emptiness is dependent arising, isn't it? The actual meaning of emptiness itself is dependent arising. But dependent arising has to be understood in two different ways. One is the dependent arising, that which is the meaning of emptiness. Another one is depending on something, arise by depending on something is very much depending on any form of negation. Take for example the case of an imaginary snake that is mistakenly ascribed to a rope. If we leave aside how it is ascribed from the perspective that apprehended a snake and try to analyze what the snake is like in the terms of its own nature, since the snake is simply not present in the object, its feature cannot be analyzed. So this is what Lama Tsongkhapa says in Lamrim Chemo. So, the apprehension of I is like similarly. It's apprehension of I, apprehension of mind, apprehension of anything, it is exactly, in reality, is exactly like how the person who apprehend snake to the curl rope, curl rope in a dark, in a down or dark place, curl rope as a snake, and you apprehend as a snake. If you go to analyze on that rope, you cannot find a snake, isn't it? Because that is just simply a rope. You cannot find a snake. Even if there is an actual snake out there, if you go to find, you may say, okay, on the rope I understood. If you go to find snake on the rope, you cannot find snake from the rope side because it is rope, isn't it? You may say, I understand, but how about the actual snake? But actual snake, also on that snake, the actual snake, is actual snake out there conventionally only. If you go to analyze on the actual snake, where is the snake is, from the tail to the mouth, anywhere in or out, you cannot find a snake, intrinsically existent from the snake side. You see, if you trace back, if we analyze, correctly, analyze thoroughly, all the way to the first day, who labeled this as a snake, all the way there, you cannot find one single substance that you can say that this is the snake that exists on the object. Even to the first person who label such kind of creature, label as a snake, even onto that person's concept, the snake only exists in mainly word, nothing more than that. That word defined by many different reasons to give a particular name, to give a name called snake for a particular phenomena, a particular animal. Then the snake came into existence. But if the snake truly or intrinsically exists to the labeling mind, then before the label exists, before the idea of this labeling snake comes in that person's mind, the snake has to be exist before that. But before that, there's non-existent, you see. So that goes similar when you analyze anything, about self. The grasping to self, apprehension to self is very much similar, like on the coil rope, apprehending as a snake and get frightened of it. You get delusion about it. A similar way. If you go thoroughly investigate, all things are like that. That's what Lama Tsongkhapa was saying here. It is similar with regard to this phenomena. So any phenomena, is similar to that. Suppose that we leave aside analysis of how they appears to the conventional awareness, and analyze the object themselves, asking what is the manner of being of this phenomena. If you ask this question, what is the manner of being I, me? What is the manner of being my body, or my anger, or the anger, emotion, whatever? We find they are not established in any ways. They are not established in any ways, any ways on the subject, on the object, even in it is absolute nature. So without any doubt, so this Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanza says, without any doubt, what exists only through the presence of conceptual thought and does not exist without conceptual thoughts, definitely does not exist essentially, as in the case of snake that is imputed to the coil rope. So like that. So one thing that must keep in heart, the actual definition of emptiness, what the Chandrakirti says. What the Chandrakirti says in it's a 400 stanza, that what exists objectively in terms of its own essence without being persisted through the power of subjective mind is called self or intrinsic nature. The absence of this quality in a person is called the selflessness of a person. It is absent in the phenomena such as eye, ear, and so forth is called the selflessness of object. So this is very important. This is what means by emptiness of person and emptiness of phenomena. And you take this definition to all the rest of the other objects and feelings and things that you want to understand the absolute nature. And this is as long as you keep this in one's heart, then anger arises, and you directly use the emptiness wisdom to analyze on the anger, to overcome the anger. You see, so then this is the way that how you can protect yourself from any harm. So Nagarjuna's 70 stanzas on emptiness says, the teacher said that ignorance is the conception that in reality things are produced from cause and conditions. From this, the 12th factor arises. Through seeing reality, you know that things are empty. Ignorance does not arise. This is the cessation of ignorance. Yeah, so on the basis of this understanding, then you contemplating such thing as, now we go back to the Lojong text, contemplating such thing as it is indistinguishable from illusory horse and elephants, relinquish clinging to substantial reality. So with all this above mentioned understanding, then contemplating in relation to whatever situation comes in your way. Such things indistinguishable from illusory horse, elephant, relinquish clinging to the substantial reality. So, like that. These are examples, the illusional elephant, illusional horse, does not exist from there, but then with different cause and condition, it actualizes it. So by understanding that you have no clinging onto it, isn't it? Like the magician have no clinging, onto the magic horse or magic elephant, because the magician know, this is just a magical elephant, magical horse, So therefore, everything that appears in our perception, every experience that comes in our way, is similar, like the magician's elephant, magician's horse, like that. It only exists in the delusional mind. It does not exist in reality, in absolute reality. It just exists in conventional reality, but it does not exist in absolute reality. Although you perceive yourself in terms of your five aggregates, you are but an appearance of the mere aggregations of dependently originated thing. Apart from this, no self possesses an eternal and unitary nature. Eternal, like what Hayagriva says in 400 stanza, all of this is without its own power. Therefore, there is no self. Eternal. There's no eternal nature. The self do not possess eternal nature. Self do not possess, self power, self essence. You see, like that. Then self also do not possess unitary nature. Self do not possess any essence from the object or the imputing subject mind, or even in the nature, as we discussed many before. So this is very important. The understanding of this no self possesses an eternal and unitary nature. So this is very important understanding, a very important meditation. You see. Many of the earlier philosophy, as I mentioned before, is the same understanding. They're caught up with either having the faults of having eternal essence or unitary essence. Because of that, unable to reach to the final actual understanding of emptiness. You see, so even non-Buddhist philosophers that who also very much establish self based on the eternal essence. Like even those who believe in Atma, there's a the eternal essence is ultimate and being permanent of the Atma. That's why you're able to establish person onto it. So that's the way, based on the Pasangika, that's the way it comes false of understanding the no self. Even those who believe who assert external creator, and that is very much unitary, asserting unitary nature. You see, and even like us, we say everything is byproduct of karma, and even that, if we don't have a clear understanding, there's a danger of falling into unitary, falling into the false of asserting unitary nature on the self. I am creation of karma. You see, as if in the karma there's an essence, there's a substance or essential in the karma to produce you. We do say that I'm whatever happens, whatever comes in our way is byproduct of karma. It's very much like kind of dependent. That's why earlier, very important, the differentiation between dependent arising and negating dependent on something. You see, so here we establish many things in relation to dependent on karma. You see, if bad thing happen, you say this due to my karma, which is correct. Which is correct, but the understanding has to be correct. The saying is correct. Yes, everything, the bad thing falls in me is due to my bad karma. But if you analyze it, there's for some, that karma is, that negativity is very much, lies in the, essential existence, or lies in the, unitary existence, or there's some, negative essence in the action, negative essence in the action, and due to that, I'm suffering. Therefore, I say that my suffering is byproduct of negative karma. You see, so saying is correct, and therefore understanding also has to be correct. Otherwise, saying may be correct, but when one to go and interpret, the understanding may be wrong. You see, so therefore, this particular word, has to be free from the false of, eternal and unitary nature. You see, when you negate the false of eternal nature, then anything to do with the essential on the, subject will be overcome. When you negate the unitary nature, then anything that essential existing from the object side will be negated. Then you are free from the both side. Then contemplate and see yourself as an illusory person who engage in the activities of going and coming and interact with objects. Do not remain blank, So when we talk about being aware of emptiness, is here very clearly said, do not remain blank. That's no use. that's no use. That's ignorant also. So the emptiness mind is actually a very, very sharp, active mind. Thinking, I say, so do not remain blank, thinking nothing, but instead be sustained by mindfulness. And the instant something appear to the senses, think this too is illusional-like. It is dream-like, We are not, as I mentioned before, we are not negating existence. We make very clear, in emptiness, we are not negating existence. So therefore, we are not saying everything is dream. We are not saying everything is a dream. No, not saying that. Everything is like a dream, dream-like. You see. So there's a big difference. Illusional-like and dream-like, and thinking dream and thinking illusion is two different things. You see. So do not think illusion. Saying suffering comes in your way, you say this is illusion, this is dream. No, really, suffering is really there. You see, so it is not illusion. It is not delusion. It is not dream. It is not dream. It is real. It's real. But in ultimate, it is dream-like. In ultimate, it is illusional-like. Since it's illusional-like, since it's delusional-like, you have a benefit of investigation. You have a benefit of investigation. So don't ruin yourself. Not taking the opportunity of the investigation. You see, since it's a dream-like, then I must investigate. Oh, that's the way it comes in my way. Do not exist that way. Ultimately. You see, so therefore, take the advantage of investigation. So the moment you start to investigate, that suffering and that experiences start to, gradually cease. So this is the how, through emptiness meditation that we overcome suffering. We overcome emotional sufferings. You see, so we have to give opportunity to the wisdom to investigate, and that is what we are not doing. Whatever it comes in our perception, we apprehend, we grasp onto it. That is our fault. You see, so what we need to do is whatever comes in our way, we must give opportunity to the wisdom mind to investigate. What appears, whether it exists in that way or not. We must give opportunity to investigate, and this is we have to be mindful. You see, So the moment we investigate, is already a starting of the purification of the suffering, of the difficulties, of the grasping. You see. So therefore, you see, so we have to change a huge habit, our usual way of apprehending things. You see, we have to change the habit. You see, we cannot be instinctive. We cannot be spontaneous. In relation to this. You see, we have to we always give opportunity to process, on our experiences. You see, so therefore, we don't try to escape from problem, from experiences. Try to numb our mind. As clearly says, do not remain blank, thinking nothing. You see, some people take pills. Some people just try to get distracted by something else. There are many people who have so much stress and they drink. They try to get away from problems by drinking, by injecting, by numbing their system. You see, and that's wrong. That will never work. That will never help. That will never help. You see, the ultimate way to overcome the stress, the difficulties, whatever it is, external or emotional. The process has to start from mind to investigate to the object, to the experiences, whatever is going on, to investigate. The way to investigate investigate. And to remind ourselves to do investigation is, first thing is, make habit of labeling, keeping it aware, it is dream-like, it is illusional-like. So this two word is very helpful. So that's why, kama rarimame, the yuma seba chubo, the milalo, the dujeshan, dedarta. So, this, what's it, I don't know the English translation, like stars, in our prayer book, we usually chant, isn't it? Especially like whenever, before the teaching, when we recite, there's one section, do a lot of meditation, and you memorize this. So you go around, so everything you see, everything you hear, everything you experience, you get reminded by this quotation, reminded by these verses, and in your heart, then you start to investigate, what appears, does it appear ultimately like that, Then the moment you start to investigate, you always come to a understanding that, it is not the same that what appears to it in the first place. You see, and that is how it loses, the whole position of delusional grasping to the experiences, in particular to the sufferings. You see, like that. Okay. In this way, you experience object by relying upon such edge as well. In this way, you experience object by relying on, such observations or investigations, analysis, like that, Like what Nagarjuna says on the 70th stanza of emptiness. Through the force of worldly convention and not through the force of reality, the Buddha spoke of duration, production, and cessation, of existence and non-existence, of what is low, moderate, or supreme. Worldly convention. Through the force of worldly convention, through the force of the conceptual mind, all these different differences comes about, but in ultimate nature, one taste. So Nagarjuna's precious garland says, it is said that both the self and which belong to self exists, but they do not exist in ultimate sense. You see, self, I, exists in a conceptual view. My body, the body aggregates my things, like family, friends, relatives, etc., and all my emotions, like negative emotion, positive emotion, everything exists in a conventional, conceptual, presentations, but in ultimately do not exist. That differences. In ultimate, all these are in one taste. You see. How can something be true when the seed that produces it is false? You see, ordinaries, perceptions are regarded all ignorant, all are false. So we as ordinary, our perception is a false perception. Then how can be the result, like such as, the experiences comes from those perceptions, can be right. You see, how can something be true when the seed, producing it is false? You see, the hallucinatory mind is the seed. The ignorance is the seed. The delusion is the seed, and that using the lens of eye, ear, touch, etc., thinking, etc., then the result of that, won't be positive because the seed is false. You see? So therefore, as mentioned before, the samsara is a byproduct of ignorance. Simply produce and disintegration appears in the illusory worlds, but ultimately there's no production and no disintegration. You see? So production and disintegration, even when we talk about purification of negative karma, purification of samsara, everything comes in the illusory worlds. In the illusory world, in a conceptual world, you see, progressing from the path, actualizing, liberation, all this comes in the illusory world. In the ultimate, there's no production, there's no disintegration, no production or liberation, no disintegration of samsara. The Chandrakirti's commentary on the middle way says, just as the three things, pot, and such do not exist in reality, but do exist in the terms of what the world understands, so it is for all things. Therefore, it does not follow that they are like, therefore it does not follow that they are, like the son of the barren woman, like that, like a mirage, etc. You see, so like that. Okay, so as you view, now we go to the Lojong, as you view everything in this manner, during the subsequent period, your mind will not become remote from the dreamlike experiences of the meditation session. In this way, during the interval between sessions, turn all your virtuous activities into path. Abide thus in the great union, not losing the experience of meditation session throughout all activities. So this is what we have to do. To make this point, the master cited the following stanzas and explained the practice of the relevant point together with their beneficial qualities. So, thus ensure that all your practices remain untainted by the clinging of grasping at real entities, and spread them across the vast space like great emptiness. You will then travel in the sphere of immortal great bliss. Yeah. So like what Buddha Palita said, a commentary on the fundamental treatise, seeing what is not real, you are bound. Seeing the real, you are free. So that's it, like that. Okay, so thank you. So I will stop here. And sorry for taking a lot of extra of your time. Okay, so now we do short meditation. I almost said now we do short meditation. No. Okay, short dedication. Okay. So without any doubt, accumulate so much merit, by discussing on emptiness. Also the merit that accumulated through all the altruistic motivation that we set, and also the vast merit accumulated through rejoicing all the past, present, future Buddhas who have achieved stages of the path, including enlightenment, due to realizing emptiness. May all this collective merit be complete cause for numberless sentient beings' temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause to pacify, all these pandemic diseases, crises that are going around in the world. May this complete merit be the complete cause to actualize the cure as soon as possible. May this complete merit be the complete cause. May this merit be the complete cause for those who work in the front line to have all the protections, all the resources, for them to stay safe, for them to able to help to those needy ones. And may this collective merit be a complete cause for all the people and all the sentient beings who pass away within these 49 days, free from the suffering of individual state, suffering of birth, suffering of death. May this collective merit be complete cause for them to actualize higher rebirth and meet the perfect mind Guru and actualize enlightenment without delay. May this merit be the complete cause for all the world leaders to actualize loving kindness, compassion, so that the people of the world can able to live peace, harmony, happiness. Also may this merit be complete cause for all the leaders of communities, the leaders of family, everyone actualize loving kindness, compassion, so that their people under their care are able to enjoy peace and happiness. May all the good people in source of peace and happiness, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Untitled Lama Sobrinpoche, and your family members, and each and every one of you, to have a long, healthy, prosperous, meaningful life and fulfill all your aspirations accordingly. May this merit be complete cause for each and every one of us and the rest of the other sentient beings, quickly understand emptiness, realize emptiness, then able to actualize the eradication of entire delusions and defilements, and actualize the full liberation of enlightenment, and able to bring immense benefit to the numberless sentient beings. May everyone's days and moments be auspicious. Okay, thank you very much. So try, starting from myself and each and every one of us, try our best to, daily do meditation on emptiness. And also, you can read through the texts. And those of you taking notes, try to look through the notes and try to get a solid understanding in your own easy words on emptiness, and have a solid analytical wisdom on emptiness, starting from the mind, the self, and the rest of the phenomena, and try to do daily meditation as much as possible. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he has been saying that he's been doing that, study, contemplation, meditation on emptiness over 60 over years, and he always mentioned that how much it benefited him, and he's a living example, who able to remain in peace, virtuous, most compassionate way, great oceans of wisdom. And not only himself able to stay very composed in that, but also able to influence, so many others, millions and millions of others, even in the human realm. No question about numberless sentient beings that he has been benefiting. He is someone that, compared to many of us who, His Holiness, who went through one of the greatest tragedies in life. He went through so much difficulties in life, but then he never lose his compassion. He never lose his joy, virtue, happiness. It's very much, he give responsible for the emptiness wisdom and daily practices on emptiness. So these are living example. So since we aspire for happiness and do not wish even minor suffering, so this is the really right way for us to help ourselves and also bring peace around us and others. Okay, so try our best. So thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.